All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast. Okay, so it is the 7th of January and it's been a while. I haven't posted a podcast in 2 weeks. I think the last 2 weeks of December. So I just want to start today by putting my hands up and saying I'm so happy to be back. And if you were waiting for part 3 of the Overwhelmed series, if you're waiting for that in December, then don't want you to worry. I want to promise you that I am going to be publishing that episode for you so that you can have the complete series, the complete Overwhelmed series to refer to whenever you need it. But first, how better to kick off the new year than to talk about the new year, to talk about 2025. So in this session, I want to say Happy New Year. I want to welcome you to 2025, welcome in the new year. And then specifically, I want to get you thinking about your wants for 2025. What do you want this year to be? And this whole session is about helping you to set yourself up so that you are, setting you up for success in creating that. So whatever it is you want, helping you to see how you can start from today, from this moment, and start creating for your that result for yourself this year. Now, I want to make a distinction between what I'm going to be talking about today, sharing with you, and New Year's resolutions. Okay, so I'm a massive fan of New Year's resolutions. Unusually for me, I haven't quite pinned mine down yet, but I'm a huge fan. I know it's one of those things, some people love them, some people hate them. Whichever camp you fall into, I do want to make the distinction that New Year's resolutions tend to be very action focused. So when you join Be the First, my coaching program, and also Inside Confident Black Lawyers, which is my program for building confidence in who you are as a Black lawyer, and so really tackling that unique form of imposter syndrome that you experience, the environmental imposter syndrome of being a Black lawyer striving to succeed in a white world. So when you join Confident Black Lawyers, you will also learn the difference between the actions you want to take and setting yourself a list of things to do and the thoughts that drive them. So the thoughts behind those actions. And the thoughts, what your thoughts are about a particular thing, are very different to the actions you plan to take. I don't want to go into too much detail about how that works because this is what I will be teaching you when you join, or if you're already in the program, you already understand that chain reaction and the connection between your thoughts, how they produce feelings that drive your actions that then create your results. So this is something you will already be familiar with or you'll learn when you join the program. So what I want to clarify here and what's most important that you take away is, whereas New Year's resolutions tend to be much more, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, intentions, which is what I'm talking to you about today, your intentions for 2025 tend to be, and I would encourage you to think about them as being thoughts that you choose to think for the year, the thoughts that you choose to think because thinking those thoughts makes it easy to take the actions. It puts you in an emotional state where you want to take those actions, where you want to go to the gym every week, for example, or go to Champneys, as one of my clients was saying this morning. She wants to go back to Champneys. It puts you in the right emotional state for where you want to set boundaries, or you're willing to do things that would otherwise make you feel uncomfortable, because you have the thought behind, like what precedes the actions is a very powerful thought that creates a very powerful and impactful emotion for you. All of which to say is the value of this session and what you're going to take away to layer on top of your New Year's resolutions, or if you don't have those, to be your guiding compass for this year. The intentions that we're talking about today are the key to the success of your 2025. They are the key to you honoring your New Year's resolutions. The problem with New Year's resolutions is we set them, but we don't change our mindset around them. So you want to get fit and lift heavier weights or be faster, for example. I'd like to do both of those things, by the way. But it's not enough to say I'm going to do those things. You need to get the right thoughts driving your actions. You need to really get the right mindset beforehand. And this is a little bit what we're going to be talking about today. All right. So here's what you're going to take away, what the number one message I want you to remember really from this session. And that is that the outcome of 2025, what your 2025 looks like, how you feel at the end of this year, is in your hands. Like, that's the beauty for me of a New Year's resolution or any goal setting. It is the recognition, like even before we get to the actioning part, it is the recognition and the open acknowledgement and the responsibility around like you actually being the one who can create a result for yourself. Like, that's why you set a resolution, is because you think, okay, well, I want to do this. And implicit in that I want to do this is the fact that you believe that you are someone who can create that result for yourself. So I want to get fit. You would only ever say that if you believed you were someone who could, or you have enough agency and you're able to get yourself fit. Does that make sense? Or even if it's not you driving the exercise regime, you are able to go and sign up with a trainer, for example, who's going to get you fit. So this is what I love about resolutions. It's what I love about intention, is you recognizing to yourself, perhaps announcing to your friends and family, to the world, that you know you have a part to play. And what I want to emphasize, or what I want you to take away from this session, is that 2025 is yours to create. This year is yours to create. That means it's yours for you to design, to decide what you want from it, and then to go to work to create that result for yourself. And this session is where I want to invite you to start. It's going to get you off to a really good start. All right. So thinking about this, and this is how I like to approach all of my podcast episodes, my videos, my sessions, is everything I teach you, these are not one-off. So everything you learn from me in these sessions aren't just applicable now. They're also like tools you can take away. They're also things that you can apply, in different areas of your life or different times. You might want to set, for example, your intention for the first 3 months of the year. And then 3 months from now, you can use what I'm teaching you today to do it all over again for the second quarter. But also you can come back to this year after year. That's why what I teach is so valuable. I'm so proud with the bank of value that I'm putting out and sharing with you all the time. Is there's so much that you can always come back to and use the tools I'm sharing with you in different ways. Obviously, I give you the bare bones of these tools. I give you the kind of more surface level experience in these videos and in the podcast, like without actually properly taking you through it. That's what I do when you join the program. When you join either Be the First as a mid to senior level lawyer, or when you join Confident Black Lawyers as a black lawyer at any level who wants to really build confidence in who you are. So obviously in those programs, and when you join them, I walk you through those. But still, this is like to whet your appetite, which I love. So you're still going to get so much value from this. So the more personal context for this, I'm going to teach what I'm teaching you today from like the perspective of the journey journey is probably not the right word, but the experience I've had with thinking about 2025. This is going to enable me to give you an example to illustrate what I want you to take away. So I actually came into 2025 a little bit unsure, a little bit uncertain. So I had a wonderful break before Christmas. I'm glad to say, me and my family, we went to Sri Lanka. It was just amazing. We traveled around the country. It is so beautiful. Saw so much wildlife. There was so much color. And I really do miss, as I'm sitting here in England, it's already getting dark, it's 4:15. I miss the colours and the smells and the smiles from our Sri Lankan adventure. I still really miss it. It's just so wonderful. Anyway, so I had getting distracted, had a lovely break. And then we treated ourselves on the way home. We stopped off in Dubai for a couple of days to celebrate New Year. Now, normally by that time, at the very latest, like by Christmas or a few days before New Year, I already have my New Year's resolution set out. But this year was different. And I think there's a number of reasons for that. I think I was quite tired at the end of last year, and I didn't want to set my resolutions or my intentions for the year from a place of feeling tired. I definitely wanted to give myself time to rest and reflect on 2024 before I thought about 2025. We also had a bereavement in my family, somebody very very close family member who we lost over the Christmas period. So of course that changed not just kind of where my thinking was, my reflections were over the holiday period, but it also, I think, and those of you who've had this experience, it also did make me sort of momentarily just sort of question when something happens that happens to all of us, we all experience, but that is so out of our knowing and control, like losing somebody who's dear to you, losing somebody. Of course, it can like set in chain a lot of questions, and maybe even like on a really sad day, and when you're feeling the loss, it can certainly make you question like your goals and your reasons behind them and what's driving you and how you're spending your time and whether that's what you want and how much agency you have over that. So those sorts of questions were also something that I was processing during this period, all of which is to just give you context for why I came into this year like uncharacteristically unsure of what I wanted 2025 to look like and who I was going to be in 2025. But as I'm going to walk you through, that's all changed. And the process that I use to change that is what I want to offer for you today. So I'm going to talk you through how I was feeling and the way in which how I was feeling and the result that I anticipated that would create for me this year. And then I'm going to talk you through how now I'm intentionally thinking and feeling and the result that I've decided and I'm choosing to create for myself this year so that you can do the same. So my thought going into 2025 was, I don't know what this year is going to be like. I don't know what I want it to be. Very unusual for me to think that, to be so uncertain. And because I had that thought, from that thought, I was feeling a little bit flat, even verging on powerless with a small p, like that I wasn't the one in control of 2025, that I wasn't the one necessarily who got to decide about 2025. That's how I was feeling. And that's what I mean by feeling powerless in this context. And what I recognized as I took a look at my thoughts, like as I acknowledged that I'd been carrying around this thought and it was making me feel flat and powerless, what I recognized was that actually how that shows up for me, or who I am when I feel flat and powerless, is I tend to be passive. I tend to be a little bit reactive. I don't set goals. I go day to day. I don't really plan. Like this is the version of Caroline who shows up in the world when she's feeling flat and powerless and thinking, well, I don't know what my year's going to be, right? So the beauty of having that level of understanding of what my thoughts are, how that generates a certain set of feelings and how those feelings are driving, are going to drive the way I show up this year. What I've been able to do is see that, well, as long as those are my actions this year, I'm going to end up with the result that 2025 is a year that happens to me. Yeah, I'm going to be here a year from now thinking, oh, well, this happened and then this happened and then I had to do this because this happened to me, as if I'm like a victim of the circumstances of 2025, whatever they're going to be, as if I have no agency, but just literally the result will be that 2025 is a series of things that happen to me. Now, if you know me at all, or even if you don't, but you know about coaching at all and what coaching is so amazing, why coaching is so amazing, so valuable, it is your ability to say, actually, I want to create a different result for myself. And I know I believe in my ability to do that. And I'm going to focus on what I can control in order to create that result. So that, my friend, is of course what I set out to do. I don't want to have a 2025 that happens to me. I don't want to be passive and reactive and feel victimy if whatever the circumstances are. Even if there are good things that happen, I want to have a sense of agency over the good things that happen. And I want to also have a sense of agency in how I respond to things that maybe don't go as well this year, things outside of my control. So I want to feel that 2025 is my year and that I'm driving it. And I want to create results for myself, positive ones for myself this year. So that's where I started. And before I tell you kind of where I then ended up and where I want to encourage you to go, I want to ask you to reflect. What are your thoughts about 2025? Are you feeling really positive, and like is behind that feeling of positivity some really positive thoughts about the new year? Have you set your resolutions? Do you feel empowered to decide what you want and then that you can go out and create it? Where are you right now? If you are already feeling very motivated, very enthusiastic, very excited, very empowered about 2025, then that is fantastic. And what this session is going to do is simply just encourage you, cheer you on to really lean into those powerful emotions that will drive the actions that will create whatever it is that you want for yourself this year. So if you're feeling gung-ho about going to the gym and getting fit, I use that example because it's such a common one in January. Everyone wants to get fit and be healthier. If you're feeling gung-ho about that, then brilliant. Use this episode, however, to access the thoughts that are creating enthusiasm and motivation for you in this moment. Okay? That's important because 2 weeks from now, maybe even a week from now or a month from now, when it's time to go to the gym and it's really dark outside, if you live in England or somewhere on a similar time zone, and you're feeling too tired and you've been really busy at work and you won't want to go to the gym, or you won't want to train, or you won't want to go out for a run, the way you get yourself motivated, the way you can access those empowering emotions is with your thoughts. That's what I want to emphasize in this session. When you know the thoughts that you need to have about 2025, about who you will be or are going to be, or who you are being in 2025, about like your approach or how you're going to approach your exercise regime, when you have the awareness of the thoughts that generate motivating emotions, then doing the things that are hard in order to achieve your goal or fulfill your resolution is going to be so much easier because you're starting with the thought which drives everything else, versus, oh, I don't really feel like doing the actions that are going to create the result of being healthier, fitter, maybe slimmer if that's your jam. Like, instead of focusing on the actions you need to do, which are the really hard thing to do if your mindset isn't there, focus on the mindset, focus on the thought, and that will get you there. All right? So still so much value in it for you, even if you're already feeling really positive and motivated. We want to access that thought that creates positivity and motivation for you. Alternatively, you may not be there yet. You may be questioning your 2025. In one of the Be the First group coaching sessions this morning, I had all my clients like really look at what their thoughts are about 2025. And for a number of them, one of the dominant thoughts was, it's going to be a challenging year. This year's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. And so we looked at how those thoughts create the feeling of being daunted, feeling overwhelmed, of slight anxiousness, like anxiety, worry. Yeah, already the feeling of, I think I mentioned overwhelm, but like, can you hear those sort of more negative emotions that come from the thought it's going to be a hard year? And as a result of like who my clients are and who you are when you show up from emotions like daunted and overwhelmed, of course, is like who you are on a day-to-day basis is likely to be the version of you that maybe digs in, that maybe tries to sort of do more and thinks, oh, it's hard, and you're accepting of it being hard, and you never actually question, is there an easier way to do it? You never actually challenge yourself to, for example, delegate more in order to problem solve for the challenges that come up. If you've accepted and you have the thought it's going to be a hard year and a challenging year, then that's what you will accept. That is what your brain will go along with, and you'll spend your whole year just trying to deal with the challenge, deal with what's hard. Yeah. And as a result of that, of course, your 2025 is going to be challenging. It is going to be hard. So can you hear how your thought, your mindset is going to create the result that you don't want, but because that's a thought that you're having, you're taking into 2025, it's a thought that's going to drive your actions, you end up creating the exact result you don't want. You create that fear, if you like, that fear of it being challenging and hard. So what we want to do is we want to reverse that. We want to change it. We want to take control over it and be intentional with it. And to do that is so simple, or at least getting started doing it right now is so simple. What is required, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this, is the ongoing coaching in order to keep you on track with this. So we're going to talk about what intentional thoughts you might choose to make sure that your 2025 isn't negative, to make sure it doesn't happen to you, in my case, to make sure it isn't challenging or hard in the way it was setting out and promising to potentially be for my clients. What we want to do is we can change and find that different result that will make sure that we create a better result, and actually that 2025 for me is something I create, and 2025 for my clients is something that is manageable, that they can get excited about, right? So we're going to be using our thoughts to create the intention that creates that reality for us. So what I want to encourage you to do is just think about, what do you want your 2025 to be? What do you want it to be? And if you allow for what I teach you and you take on board the fact that your thoughts create your results, that if you think it's going to be a challenging year, it becomes a challenging year, and that's your experience. If you believe that your thoughts then show up as the result that you create in your life, also in the positive way, then what do you want? How big do you want to dream? How creative do you want to get about your year? What do you want it to be? I want to give you permission to have as big a want for yourself as you possibly can in 2025. If I think about I'm thinking about a lot of the reading that I've done, I certainly did towards the end of last year, and also some of the most successful people and how they approach setting goals, and how the exceptional things that people achieve, they tend to come with the big goals, right? That people manage to tick off. The big achievements come from, I want to call it over wanting, come from an exaggerated desire. It comes from going beyond what seems possible or realistic and really shooting and aiming high. Yeah, so I want to offer that in thinking about what you want this year, you dare to go bigger, 10x what you thought was your original desire this year. I want you to times it by 10 and try it on. Okay. Now, what I also want to offer is, as you're listening to this or watching this, it may not be immediately clear to you what that want is. You may want to take some time to think about it. So here's a thought that I choose to think, that I've chosen to think, instead of, I don't know what I want 2025 to be like. I've chosen a thought that has been so powerful, so motivating for me, so empowering for me, so exciting for me. I can't wait to share it with you, and I want you to borrow it if you are someone who's not clear yet on what your goals are for this year, what result you want to create for yourself. And here it is. The thought is 2025 is going to be everything I want it to be. My 2025 is going to be everything or anything I want it to be. When I think that thought, I'm a completely different person. I'm not flat or powerless or feeling like I don't have any control. I suddenly feel so much, feel so much agency, but it's more than that. I literally, in my body, I feel bigger, I feel stronger, I feel braver, I feel more excited, I feel more curious. It creates such a powerful catalogue of emotions for me that I then want to sit down and really dedicate time to thinking of 10x goals, thinking what's possible for me this year? I wonder if, and if I dared, if anything were possible, what might it be? And I really, as part of my actions then, that happen as a result of this really empowering thought, I'm going to give myself time to sit down and think about what are the areas in my life that are really important to me. So my health and fitness, my family, my friendships, my experience of life. So the sort of adventure and travel that I love and having fun. And of course, my career and my business, which is so, so important to me. Think about each of those categories and really Like one of the things I'm going to do is really sit down and dare to dream about what I want to create in each of those areas this year. Okay. Other things I'll do from this feeling of being empowered and excited and motivated about 2025. I'm going to be coaching myself every day to make sure I stay on track with those goals, right? So I'll be setting goals, make sure I stay on track with those goals, get help when I'm falling off track. Yeah. Figure out how I'm going to get to those goals. I'm going to investigate, what do I need to learn? Who do I need to be taught by, or who do I need to connect with? What do I need in order to help me achieve this goal? So it's what I want to, and I hope I'm communicating to you, is how just being able to access a very empowering thought, i.e. an intention for 2025, like creates an emotional momentum that makes me want to get to work and get going. And the beautiful thing, there are two beautiful things about that. Number one is that the action I then take is going to create the result of my thought. It's going to create the result that 2025 is everything I want it to be. Right? Of course it is. If that's how I'm showing up in my life, in my work, in my relationships, and in the gym. That's how I showed up, by the way. Yesterday, which was Monday, I train on a Monday afternoon religiously in the mud. In the freezing cold. That's how I showed up to my exercise yesterday, even though I did not want to go outside. So that's how I'm showing up to my year. Then I'm going to create that result for myself. 2025 is going to be exactly the year. It's going to be anything I want it to be. It feels so good to think that. So good. And what's also wonderful is that then now I have a compass. Now I have a place to always take my brain when it gets hard, when it gets challenging. So let's say, and to stay with the fitness analogy, I want to be stronger this year. So when I start moaning about how heavy the weights are that my trainer Holly tries to get me to lift, or when I know I should be doing my weights sessions in between my PT sessions and I don't want to, instead of being I don't really feel like it and feeling deflated, what I'm going to take myself to is the empowering thought. It's I'm creating 2025 and it's going to be everything I want it to be. Yeah. So my ability to access the thought that drives the actions I need to do is what's going to ensure I take those actions and get that result of 2025 being everything or anything I want it to be. So what about you? How do you want to think about 2025? What's your intention for yourself this year? In other words, what thought do you choose? I want to offer you my thought as a place to either get started or something to add to your thoughts, whatever empowering thoughts you can come up with. What if 2025 was everything you wanted it to be? Choose that thought, try it on, see how it feels. See how different it is. See how different your actions are or how you want to act differently as a result of that thought and the feelings it produces. All right? And of course, with a thought like that or something similarly empowering and motivating, it will show up in your results line. The stronger you believe that thought and the more front of mind it is for you and the more consistently and regularly you practice thinking that thought, the more your emotions and your actions will align with it and create the exact result of that thought, which is what you want. It's going to make 2025 be everything you want it to be. All right. I hope you found that a different take on how best to go into 2025 in the new year, how best to approach your New Year's resolutions. And most importantly, I hope it really motivated you to think about the power of your thoughts. And if you are a Black lawyer of any level and confidence is something you want to increase this year, if confidence is something you know is going to be a game changer for you and you want to access more of it, or you see that confidence is the key to getting you to that next level, I want to invite you to join Confident Black Lawyers. This is my new foundational program for Black lawyers of any level. I call it a foundational program because confidence in who you are is absolutely the foundation of everything you do in your career. When you build that, when that is solid, it makes everything you then do and will need to do to be the first, to be the most empowered and successful version of yourself. Everything comes from and stems from the grounding that you have, the confidence you have in who you are. It's going to make being the first so much easier, so much more accessible, and it's going to take you all the way to the top. So wherever you are, at whatever level, however junior, I want to encourage you to join Confident Black Lawyers. I will add a link in the show notes or in the notes to this video so that you can access the page, sign up, or DM me on social media if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. I look forward to seeing you in the program. I can't wait to support you to be more confident and, of course, to be more intentional and achieve your goals this year. That's it from me this week. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be back next week, I promise, with part 3 of the Overwhelm series. Bye for now.